Good evening, my friends, and welcome back to my page. Today is the 18th day of November, 2016. You know, as I sat and drank my coffee this evening, I was looking through the news on the computer, and I went through St. Louis, Missouri. I don't get there very often because there's plenty going on here in Kansas City, but I ran across something that really got my attention. Another attempt to solve crime by banning assault guns, assault weapons. I don't know where these people get this idea that if you take anything that looks like an AR-15 or whatever, an AK-47, if you ban that, that's going to stop the homicides. It ain't. It ain't. But now, this lady, Lyda Krewson, Lyda Krewson, she's an alderman from the 28th Ward in St. Louis. She's laid out a plan for this. This is going to work. She filed 2 bills Tuesday concerning gun control. Now, one requires guns left in unattended vehicles to be locked up. Makes a little bit of sense, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. Now, should be locked in the trunk or locked in the glove box or at least out of sight, yes. And they make little gun safes that you can actually bolt to the floor of your car, or a little hump in the middle so that it can be locked up and nobody can steal it. But you're not going to enforce that because it's not against the law not to lock your car. And then she says a stolen gun would be required by law to be reported to the police within 48 hours. You can't do that. I'm sorry, it's unconstitutional. Any jailhouse lawyer is going to tell you that you can't compel any citizen to report anything to the police that he don't want to talk about. Okay, we didn't do any research on that. Doesn't make any sense. You need to do a little homework, but I guess they're going to vote on it tonight, at least the first hearing. Ain't going to happen. Hope you don't run for mayor on that one. Going to lose. Now, the other ordinance that she filed bans assault weapons within the city of St. Louis. And she says, we've seen recently that there have been a couple of times when a number of folks with assault weapons, loaded weapons, have walked down the streets of the city of St. Louis. And I don't think that's a particularly safe situation. Well, Lyda, I got to ask you, number one, how many times is a couple of times? And where was this? And how big was this number of folks? And what kind of, quote, assault weapons are these? How did you know they're loaded? You know, it's not against the law to walk down the street carrying anything that you own, as long as you're not brandishing it in a threatening manner to anybody. Yeah, you can have an assault weapon. You know, you're probably going to talk to the cops before you get where you're going, but not against the law to carry it. Certainly isn't. You can drag a cannon down the street if you own it. Like I say, it's going to look suspicious, but you can do it. It ain't against the law, so think about that. Go back and do some research. Now, these bills have several steps before they go to a public vote. Now, the first reading, I guess, is going to be tonight. Lord, she's probably going to get laughed out of the room, but let's go someplace else. Because what I want to talk to you about now is where she didn't do any research. Because, and I'm going to throw this up here so you can read it right along with me. In 2014, that's the latest stats that the FBI has complete information on, there were 11,961 homicides in the United States. A little less than half of those, okay, were committed with handguns. That's pistols. This kind of pistol, okay? 5,562 homicides were done with pistols. Now, rifles only accounted for 248. About a fifth of that, even less than a fifth of that, okay? Now, these rifles, that includes 22s, that includes, you know, the single shot that you give your son when he's 14 or 15 going through Boy Scouts and learning to shoot, if they even do that anymore. Or it includes a 30-30 that your husband or friend goes out and gets him a deer with every year. It includes the Plinken rifle that he takes down to the range. And it includes the AR-15s, the AK-47s. You know, that's what you call assault weapons. They're not assault weapons. I wish people wouldn't even use that word, because your handguns are your assault weapons from the looks of things, from the looks of these stats. But anyway, then there were 93 homicides that were committed by other types of guns, and that would include your Derringer, your zip guns, your run-of-the-mill miscellaneous Saturday night special, whatever. But did you know that knives accounted for 1,567? 1,500. And then hands, fists, and feet, they even outdid the rifles, because there were 660. That's where you use your, you know, you beat somebody, you kick somebody, you elbow them, push them off a cliff or whatever. If you use your body part to cause their demise, that's hands, fists, and feet. Other blunt objects, table legs, hammers, you know, things you hit people with, 435. Other weapons, there were 830. Now, why am I giving you all this information? Because it makes no sense to try to take these 248 guns away from people, rifles away from people, because they're not doing all the killing. The handguns, the pistols, that's what's doing 5,562, one half the homicides in the United States. So your information makes no sense. Your ordinance makes no sense. Because it's not only the guns are not dangerous, it's the people who've got them. Now, the good guy across the street, old John, that goes hunting a couple times a year, or maybe goes down to the range and goes plinking with his friends, he's not doing all this killing. It's the bad guys on the street, and he's not. Those guys are not doing it with guns that they're buying. No, they're stealing them. They steal them, they use them, they throw them in the river, and go steal another one. So you see, your ordinance makes no sense. And if you try to run for mayor on this platform, I'm sorry, you're going to be drinking beer with Hillary, because I don't think it's going to happen. Anyway, that's my rant for the day. Have a great day. Please like and subscribe to my page, and share this with your friends. I'd like to know what they think. Come back and see me.